Hi, the previous presenter talked about multiple intelligences, and I want to talk a little bit about multiple character traits. And it's my pleasure and honor again to speak of my father this time, Frank Sherman, who was born in 1915, the son of poor immigrants. And if I were actually able to give you his essence, I would have you all laughing, because he had a great sense of humor. He was always very, very positive, funny, quick, and his sense of humor was known to all. But there were lots of other character traits that were very, very important and that our recipient, Tram, exemplifies. There was first the value and love of family. He was always supportive and encouraging. He always believed in us and our capabilities. I don't remember him ever lecturing us. All the lessons were taught by example. He had the value of friends. To be a friend and to have a friend are corollaries, and he had lots of friends. There's the value of all kinds of work. He wanted to be a doctor, but he became a teenager during the Depression. He started college, but could not afford the $15 for the microscope in pre-med and had to drop out of college. He ended up being a tailor like his father, and his grandfathers had been in Europe. Then he became a salesman. He sold door-to-door model airplanes, books and magazines, waterless cookware, and then eventually he was very, very intelligent man, and he loved puzzles, and he loved math, and he loved language, and he loved activities that stimulated the mind. Eventually, a friend of his encouraged him to take the test to become a stockbroker. And so at the age of 50, he had never ever taken a class. He took the test and he passed it. And he became a successful stockbroker for the next 27 years. Another character trait that I certainly have learned from him was to stand up for what's right in a very assertive manner, but try not to be obnoxious about it. When I was in 4th grade, I was fooling around with a dictionary at school, and there was a definition of an ethnic group that had a very, very nasty slur. We weren't allowed to bring books home from school, but I went home and I told my parents I was upset, and my father said, "Copy this word for word." So I did. I brought it to him, and in his manner, which, as I said, was not obnoxious, he brought it to the Anti-Defamation League and then brought it to Chicago Public Schools, and that dictionary was eliminated from the Chicago Public Schools. So you learn to stand up for what's right. Another character trait is to be the best you can be and always do your best. Be competitive, but be competitive without being demeaning and not putting down your competition. Another trait was thinking, problem solving, and mental stimulation. It's fun. It really is. Then I mentioned the humor before. Skillful use of humor and quick wit makes life enjoyable. Don't complain about things you can't control. When he became older and his health started failing, he accepted without complaint. He had to give up bowling and ping pong, of which he was champions, and become more sedentary. But he adapted and adjusted without any kind of self-pity. I mentioned that he couldn't afford the $15 for the microscope, but he always had a good sense of money management and never, ever, ever bought anything on credit. Everything, the money was saved until he had enough money to buy something. So he was never in debt. Dependability and responsibility were accepted norms. If he said he was going to do something, it never crossed anyone's mind that he wouldn't, because he did. And finally, I'll end with honesty, ethical behavior, and integrity, because these were the automatic guides for all decisions. And I'll tell you a little embarrassing story about myself to exemplify this. One of my chores was to go to the Goldstein's Bakery and Deli, south side of Chicago, before dinner, and buy 3 rolls. And I was given a dime because they were 3 3 cents a piece. Now you know how old I am. And I would give them the dime. I would come home with a bag of 3 rolls and a penny. But one time, they made a mistake, and they gave me 91 cents in change, thinking I'd given them $1. I pocketed the change, I took my 3 rolls, and I came home very proud of myself. And I told my parents, look, they made a mistake, I have 91 cents. Well, from what I've described so far, I think you know what happened next. I had to go back to the deli with my 91 cents. I had to tell them that they made a mistake, but not only had they made a mistake, I knew they made a mistake when I took that money and brought it home. And I'm returning it with a big apology. So the integrity is a very important lesson. And with this, I'd like to congratulate Tram and introduce her teacher.
This year I had the pleasure of meeting Tram. I was very surprised and pleasantly glad that I met her because I've only known her for about 3 months, but for me it's been a pleasure to meet her. Not only has she inspired me, but she's inspired her fellow classmates at school. At first she was really shy, and eventually I got to know her a little bit better, and I got to asking around her teachers and her classmates. And one thing that stood out was that she was very optimistic and enthusiastic about education. And I found out a lot of great things about her that, you know, a few years ago she was facing a lot of academic challenges, but she completely changed it around. And now she's a great student. She's looking forward to becoming a math professor and pursuing her career at Cal State LA. But not only have I been inspired, but I have been refocused to challenge myself to do a little more and to overcome the challenges that face us. But I'm just glad that I got to meet her this year, and here she is, Tram.
Hi everyone. I cannot see very well, so I just get the paper with me. So my name is Tram Huynh, and I'm a senior right now at Royal Learning Center, and I'm on my way to get my diploma. And right now I'm talking about history about myself. When I was born in Vietnam, I cannot have any vision of mine. I don't have any vision. And in my life, very difficult for me and my family. And when I come to United States in October 25, 2013, with 25% of my vision, and now I have more of my vision back because I have the surgery in both here in my country. Thank you to your generosity. I will extend to Cal State LA Efron Cemetery. I want to thank you for commit for this scholarship, and I want also thank you to anyone who always support me. And the special one I thank you is my mom and my dad, because they always with me when I have a good time and bad time. So I'm so thankful.